American Dream, Latin Souls. I'm Daniel Ortiz, and today my guest is entrepreneur Jay Galvan.
Hi.
Jay, welcome to our program.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited about having you on this program, Jay. You're part of the Latina wave of entrepreneurs in America. Latinas in this country are starting businesses at a rate 6 times faster than the population at large. So we want to find out a little bit about your story. And you are one of the founders of EMR Bear,
Yes.
which is the medical profession, one of the fastest, I think the fastest growing segment of the U.S. economy is medical.
Yes.
So we want to hear your story. But before we get into your story, Jay, we ask all our guests, what is your American dream and what does it mean to you?
My American dream is very much shared with the grandfather, the grandparents, my parents, the people that came to this country before me. My family was absolutely, our oral tradition is very strong. And the stories of them coming to this country, the challenges they faced, are as real to me as my own stories. And so the American dream for me is really that through integrity, hard work, and a good education, you can open your own doors in this country and achieve your goals.
You know, and that's part of our Hispanic culture. And the American dream for Hispanics always includes family. I mean, if you look at the traditional American view of the American dream, you know, to have a beautiful home, successful career, you know, maybe accumulate wealth, become famous. That's the traditional American dream. But for Hispanics, the dream always includes the family, doesn't it?
Absolutely. One of the hugest motivators for me going into business for myself with my husband, partner, was having the ability to be flexible and available for my children. Okay. And as we know, the traditional workplace, when you're working for someone else, doesn't always lend to that. So becoming an entrepreneur was greatly motivated by my family.
So it's part of you didn't go into business because you want to get rich and famous and so forth. You want it to be
that would be good
family.
too.
Well, that's us. Ideally, that's part of it, right? But the motivator is the family, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So tell us about EMR Bear.
EMR Bear is an electronic medical record that's customized specifically for psychiatry and behavioral health practitioners. So it is a software, a web-based service that behavioral health agencies, psychiatrists, therapists, counselors can use to run their practice, from scheduling their clients to developing their clinical notes to billing their services. And it's a service that is, as I said, customized to behavioral health. So
how did you get involved in this particular type of business?
Well, my husband is a psychiatrist.
Okay.
He's also one of our founding partners. And so my husband is a psychiatrist. He's one of our founding partners as well. And so we came to New Mexico, where I grew up, hoping to develop a rural practice for him, serving the smallest communities in our state. And as you know, the Southwest is a vast area with lots of little communities separated very far apart.
Long distances, few people.
Yes, and so the first year of being back in New Mexico, he drove the majority of that year. And so having young children at home, we realized that was not a sustainable business model for us.
Okay, so you found that there was a challenge or problem and you found a solution. You want to find a solution to solve this problem.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is an entrepreneur trait. It's solving problems and being creative. Entrepreneurs don't look at the world and say, "Oh, why is this so?" or "Too bad," for that. They find a solution to a particular problem. So it's a creative act.
Absolutely. It had to be creative for us because we knew we wanted to be here in New Mexico, close to where I grew up. But, the children have needs and demands of a family really dictated that we find a workaround to him being on the road. So we developed, with our business partner, a web-based electronic health record that would allow him to see his clients in the smallest communities of our state via telemedicine, via two-way video. And therefore, an electronic health record allows him to be at one end of the service, and for the clinicians and the patients to have the same access to the same information about that client. So it evolved from our personal need and became a service then that was adopted by other practitioners and agencies around.
So this is a software program,
basically. It is. It's
web-based. Web-based. And this is the program that you're actually now selling to other offices, other practitioners?
Yes.
Across the country?
Yes.
Tell us about the market for that.
It's burgeoning. You know, electronic health records in general have been given a boon by the fact that the federal government has been encouraging practitioners and agencies to adopt them. So that's been a great thing for our business. For psychiatry and behavioral health in particular, there is a greater need to have a service that is specifically customized to that practice because of the very interactive nature of the clinical forms. And because
so tell me about the government's role in incenting you to do this.
Yeah, so
and this is for all medical records.
Absolutely.
Because the medical record in I don't know if it's just the United States, but in general is archaic. We have 21st century technology, but 18th century practices, don't we?
Yes.
In the medical field.
In some cases, but
I mean, they're
I'm
still using
encouraged.
paper and clipboards.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. In some places they are. I'm very encouraged, though, by all of the individual practitioners or very small practices that we talk to and that we're working with who are adopting this technology.
So does it create efficiencies and help them save money? What does it do?
Absolutely. It creates efficiencies in that you're in an electronic and digital environment. And so the days of having to, put your name, social security number, date of birth, and address on 10 different forms is really gone if you're in a digital environment. It's also an opportunity for, in an agency setting, for practitioners to share data in a real-time scenario so that one practitioner can see what another practitioner is doing with the same client so that they can orchestrate their care of that client. So it is a great way to be efficient and compliant in your services. The promise, though, is that it's really elevating your standards of care, and that's where we strive to help our clients to not just be compliant, not just be paperless, but to be exceptional, and through the help of an electronic service like this.
So from the perspective of the patient, does it get them out of the doctor's office faster?
In some cases, yes. And maybe more importantly, it allows their time in the doctor's office to be substantive and not just full of forms in triplicate and logistics.
Very good. So let's talk about your journey as an entrepreneur. What I find with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I believe entrepreneurs are born and not made. Is there a pattern of an entrepreneurship in you growing up or in your family?
My tradition of my family came from needing to be enterprising and innovative. That's the tradition I carry with me. Taking what you have at hand to work with and making the most of it and making it work for you and your family. When it comes to, am I an entrepreneur at heart? I think I'm absolutely becoming one. I was not born one. But those ideas of really maximizing what you have to work with to the best of your ability, that has definitely carried me into this world of being a business owner.
Well, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And my dad used to have a saying when he'd devise certain things. I said, "Dad, how would you come up with that?" And he said, "La necesidad." So what I'm hearing you say is that, having to develop things is because of your environment forces us. If you're an entrepreneur, whether you're born with it or it comes out later, we're problem solvers, we're creative. And rather than lamenting the fact that the world isn't the way you want it to be, you make it. You create your own environment.
Absolutely. I have to say for my partners, one of which is my husband, you might say that they were born entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Tell
us about the role your husband plays in your other partner in EMR Bear.
Well, again, my husband's practice, psychiatric practice, was the impetus for our, getting into this business. And now at the stage of our business, he is very much the designer of how the system should work to serve the practitioner, because he uses our service for his own practice every day.
He's on the field and he
yes.
uses it.
So his sense of how to facilitate care, the tools that practitioners need to be able to do their job in an excellent way, that's very much his purview. Our other partner is our developer, our design guru when it comes to how the system works, how it functions, how to make it smarter every
this trio come together?
Through our children, actually.
Okay. And I understand your partner is actually from Argentina.
He is.
Is that right?
He is from Argentina, and his family has been here for over a decade. And we met them through our children, through an organization where we started babysitting for each other when our kids were very young, and knew him and his wife as just very fine, nice people. And as we got to know them better, realized that Andres, our partner, had a lengthy experience in actually developing electronic medical records, had studied medicine in Argentina before he came to the United States, was working for a community health center here in Santa Fe, and realized we had a lot of things in common in terms of what we were trying to achieve.
Did he have a background in software development?
Absolutely, yes, and has become really an innovator in developing software, specifically software as a service, web-based software as a service, using the platform we use.
Okay, very good. So what's his story? He came from Argentina, immigrated to the U.S. to live his American dream.
Yeah.
Also, I presume.
Yes, exactly. And much like my forebears, he and his wife came, starting anew, really, still learning the language, and fortunately, they came to New Mexico, where Spanish can actually get you somewhere, in some situations. I know that's been of help. And certainly to this day, it's been helpful in situations where we have clients that need a translator, or where we need, medical forms translated into Spanish. That's been a great asset.
Right, great. So you mentioned your forebears. Tell me, what is your background as far as your family background and coming to the United States? What generation?
I'm a second-generation American.
Okay.
My father and mother, as I said, have shared their stories of being born in the United States, having parents who didn't know English, really, facing adversity, even in the Southwest, where you would think that there would be less of that for a Hispanic family. But again, fortunately, having a heritage in their family of a strong education, which not everybody coming from other countries might have. And
so they instilled that work ethic and education.
Yes, education for my family is an absolute mantra. For them, it absolutely was too. It was their way to, provide a means for their family. My father became the breadwinner for his family when he was still a teenager. And so, we know very, as I said, intimately, the challenges that he and his parents went through to make their way in this country.
So that family foundation. In America, we talk a lot about the Puritan work ethic. And I think for Hispanics, we're more Puritan than the Puritans when it comes to work ethic, aren't we?
I think so. And again, in some cases out of necessity. I mean, to this day, we see families, Hispanic or not, that are carrying 2, maybe 3 jobs to be able to provide for their families. And
well, sometimes adversity can be, the springboard to success. I remember when I was young, I was having to cut weeds and mow lawns and do whatever you had to do to just because I wanted money to spend, because a lot of my friends had money, the parents gave it to them, so I wanted to hang out in that crowd. And then that's when the seeds of entrepreneurship were sown in my life, in my experience, and the fact that, you can through your own initiative, go out and create your own money, your own world.
Yes, absolutely.
All
and
right.
I hope we're showing that to our kids as well.
Okay, let's talk about the role of family in your business. What role does family play, your immediate family play in your business? Because there was a study done by a major insurance company, and they found out that the average American that starts a business wants to do it to create wealth and to create, success for themselves and yes, their family. But it was the Hispanics were something like 74% was to create jobs and to create a means of support for the family, compared to like 46% to the rest of the population.
For us, our family, because one of our three partners in our company, were married, we have to be particularly vigilant about not taking away too much of our collective energy from our family. Because we are a couple, when our business becomes especially demanding, we don't have the luxury of both of us throwing ourselves into the business as you might if we weren't married. So we really have to take turns shouldering the extra energy our business might need at any given point, so that's not coming away from our children. Yeah.
Right. So do you spend how many hours a day do you both work in the business? Because entrepreneurs, it's not a 9-to-5 job, right? How many hours a week do you work?
It's hard to calculate. It's almost to say when I'm not sleeping and when I am not, completely dedicated to the kids, when am I not working? That's really kind of
always on when you're an entrepreneur. If you're not physically at a location, you're mentally thinking about it, you're answering the emails, you're returning calls, whatever.
Absolutely.
Right.
So a work week is a little bit of it's pretty nebulous for us.
Right.
And
people sometimes ask me, and I'm sure they ask you, so what are you doing this weekend, or how was your weekend? It's no different, really.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
The weekend means nothing if you're an entrepreneur,
Yes.
right? It's not a couple of days that you take off. Maybe we want to take off Sunday to spend with family and maybe not answer emails, but that's even a challenge, right?
And it's a discipline that we as a family have really had to undertake and be committed to, which is that you have to be disciplined about when you don't work.
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times when an individual that has maybe a regular job, they find out you're an entrepreneur, and they say, well, you're lucky because you can go to lunch whenever you want, you can take off. And that's true, right?
Yes.
In theory, that's true. But you have to have the discipline to be an entrepreneur because you can. It's very easy to just take off and go, take a 2-hour lunch or, take a 3-day weekend or whatever. You have the authority and the power to do that, but you also have to have the discipline, to work when maybe it's 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, right?
Yes. For us, it's the discipline to not work.
The discipline to not work
during family
time. I like
time.
that.
That's really where our discipline needs to come in. It's about really
the discipline to take some time off.
Yes, it is. We work in
That's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's
is
true,
that the
it's
promise
true.
of entrepreneurship? I guess so, because the fact is that we do still have the freedom, to take the afternoon off for a child's performance. We have the flexibility to, be at the school during school day in order to, see a presentation. So that's the trade-off, is that the time that I get to be with the kids when they need me to be is then made up in the evening or on the weekend.
Right.
And so being structured about when you're not working is as important as it is.
A lot of times, entrepreneurs, we love what we do. We're so engaged in our business that, it is actually discipline to not work.
Yes.
Sometimes, right?
Yes,
or at least not to think of work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our field is one also where you need to be available, because if your client needs you, it means that important health services aren't being provided, and so you have to take that call whether you like it or not.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about some of the challenges of being an entrepreneur and some general challenges, but also some specific challenges that you've had to face and overcome in creating your business. And how long have you been in business now?
7 years.
7 years.
From the the time that we started developing the system.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur, and particular challenges in your business?
You know, one of our objectives, our real priorities in building our business was not to go into debt beyond our ability to recover from it easily. And so
so was your startup funds, did you borrow money? Did you go to incorporate?
So we dug deep out of our own finances, and we continue to do that, frankly, even though the business is in a different place. But we forego our own income, or we would donate our time, I guess is another way to say it. And we grew the business very slowly, which for us meant absolutely because of the fact that we had the luxury of being able to do that to some extent because we had some clients come on early on that really allowed us to complete the product itself. And
so what I'm
us
hearing you say is you didn't expand immediately, quickly, just for the sake of expansion.
Exactly.
You had the discipline to think it through. That's a rare trait.
And it's not been easy to keep that discipline. It's been a matter of really being conservative about growing the business in a way that's sustainable to us, in a way that we know that we are still able to provide the level of service that we want to be able to provide, but also...
So growth for growth's sake isn't part of your business model.
Absolutely, and it will be, eventually, but in the earliest years, it was not what we wanted to do.
You want to have a stable foundation, solid.
Yes, a stable foundation, a quality product, and a financial health that would allow us to weather circumstances that we have in the meantime, endured. So, and as
a lot of businesses, they grow too fast and they're not able to control that growth.
Yes.
And eventually they crash and burn.
Yes.
Or, it's chaos and, they got to be taken over by another firm and they actually lose the business because they actually grew too fast.
Yes, absolutely. And I can see how that would happen. And, unforeseen obstacles come up, and if you're not healthy in a financial way, it could be easy to lose your footing. And so we've weathered those kind of obstacles, and we're still going strong.
Okay, very good. So what advice would you give to anybody, an entrepreneur out there who wants to start a business? What advice would you give?
For me, it's really been about soul searching and being honest with yourself about your own qualities as a business owner, as a manager, as well as the qualities of any partners that you're going into business with. I think being introspective and honest with yourself about what you can do in a strong way and what you need help in doing. I think that's been a really important
So when you say about being honest, are you saying being honest about what your own abilities are?
Absolutely. Being aware of your strengths and your limitations of yourself and your partners, and calling in help when you don't have, maybe a skill set among you that you need to grow your business. To
bring in other help from
and
other people.
I think
that's not easy for entrepreneurs though, because we like to do things ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I say, really put in that effort. It'll serve you, I think, throughout the growth of your business.
Okay, and that is a discipline as well.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, Jay, thank you for sharing your story. It's very inspiring, and we wish you much success. And I think anybody who's ever sat in a medical office and had to fill out all those forms will be thankful that you're playing a role in making sure that we don't have to do that ever again.
Yes, thank you. And thank you again for having me.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I'd like to thank our audience for joining us on American Dream Latin Souls. Be sure to visit us online at latinosuccess.com.